Hello, welcome back to the channel. I would like to show you my little Christmas trees that I have been working on. This one is made with a granny square that has been folded from a square into a triangle. This one is just a simple single crochet um, Christmas tree, right? But today I would like to show you how to make this one, okay? So this is a variation on a granny square, but instead of making it into a square, we've made it into a triangle, okay? So instead of having four corners, we have three. So if you can make a granny square, you can make this one. But I'm just gonna make a few changes here and there, okay? So let's go ahead and get started making this tree, okay? Okay, let me pull this back. That was a little close. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna have links to these trees in the bottom so that you can go ahead and make them if you like. And we're gonna get started making this one. So to get started with this one, I'm not gonna make a magic loop. You can absolutely do it using a magic loop, okay? But I wanted to try something a little bit different. So I'm gonna do a chain four. So I'm gonna start with my slip knot, okay? And if you would like to know the yarn I'm using, I'll go ahead and put it in the description. I'm not sure if they have any more green. I know they have it in red. But this yarn has some metallic in it, okay? See that? So it has a little bit of a shimmer to it. So I wanted to try it and see how it would look. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to chain four. One, two, let's try that again. Two, three, four. And I also wanted to tell you that the yarn and the hook that you use will make a difference in the size of your Christmas tree. Now, the yarn I used here was a little bit soft, so you can see it's a little floppy. All right. So for this one, I use a more stiff yarn, and the Red Heart one seems to be the best one for making these ornaments. It's nice and stiff, and I don't have to go ahead and stiffen it later on. Okay. So I did my chain four, and I'm gonna make a loop with a slip stitch. So I'm gonna go ahead in that first chain that I made, the one that's closest to the knot, and I'm going to make a slip stitch, and I'm going to pull it through the stitch, and I'm going to pull it through the loop that I have on my hook. So there's a circle there, believe it or not. There is a circle there. So what I'm going to do is, because I have trouble, even though I've been doing this for a long time, sometimes I have trouble finding the center, especially if I'm recording or talking or doing something distracting and I'm not completely focused. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and what I did was I put a stitch holder in the center. Okay, so you're not gonna really see it now, but you will notice it in a few minutes. Okay, all right. So I've made my circle. All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started with round one. So for round one, after I've placed my stitch marker, I'm going to go ahead and chain three. One, two, three. And that is going to count as my first double crochet. And then I'm going to go ahead and put two double crochets in that center, okay? Not in the stitches on the side. That's why I have my stitch holder there. So here's one and here's two. So now I have my chain three, which counts as one, and then I've gone ahead and done two more. And you see how my stitch holder helped me to find that center? That is now my center. You see that? Okay. So I have completed my first cluster. Okay. And I'm going to chain two. One, two. Then I'm going to go ahead and make my next cluster, which is just three double crochets into this circle, okay? Just three double crochets. Just like a granny square. I know, I keep saying that, but I want you to see how simple this is going to be. Here's three. Here's my third one. So far we have our chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, and 2 double crochets. And then we did a chain 2 and 3 double crochets. I keep repeating it because I want absolute beginners to be able to do this, okay? All right, so now I'm going to chain 2 again, 1, 2, and then I'm going to make my third and final cluster because this is a triangle, right? So we only need 3 clusters. If it were a square, we'd need 4. If we were doing a hexagon cardi or hexagon, we would need 5. Okay, so for a triangle, we have 3 clusters. Okay, cluster 1, cluster 2, and cluster 3. I'm going to go ahead and take my stitch marker out because I no longer need it. I just needed it. I had just needed it for my center. I was able to find it very quickly. You absolutely do not have to do that step. It was just very helpful for me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do a chain 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to attach it. I'm going to slip stitch the top one right here. I'm going to slip stitch that. And here we go. This is a triangle. I know it doesn't look like one quite yet, but believe me, it'll get there. Okay, good. That's round 1. Let's go ahead and do round 2. Okay, I think we only have like 4 rounds to do in this thing, so it's going to be super simple. Okay, so for round 2, once again, we are going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then in this same stitch that we had here, we're going to go ahead and do 2 double crochets, right? Because we're going to do a cluster. That's what we're going to do. 1 and then 2. So, all right. Okay, chain 3 and 2 double crochets. Cool. All right, so then what we're going to do is, so then we're going to do a quick chain 1 here. And then we're going to come up on our corner here and we're going to treat it just as a granny square. So we're going to do our first cluster of 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and then 3. Okay. And because we are in the corner, we're going to chain 2. 1, 2, and then we're going to do another cluster of 3 double crochets. Okay. Here's 2, and then here's 3. All right, and if you need instructions on how to make double crochet, I'll go ahead and put a link. I have a whole playlist on how to do all of the stitches, okay, in case you need it. Then I'm going to chain 1, and we're back in the corner again, and we're going to do another cluster. A cluster consists of 3 double crochets, okay? So here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. This yarn is really pretty. Okay, and we are in the corner, so we're going to go ahead and chain 2. 1, 2, and then we're going to make another cluster of double crochet. For a double crochet, you're going to yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through 2, and yarn over and pull it through 2. Okay, and you're going to do that 2 more times because we need 3. Okay, now let's see what we have so far. So we have completed this other corner. Then we're going to chain 1, and we are back where we started, and we are going to complete that corner. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do 3 double crochets. 1. Ooh, look what I did. I did it into the stitch. Make sure you go into the space. 2 and 3. Hey, that looks a little wonky now. What happened? I'll have to fix that later. Okay, then we're going to chain 2, and we are going to slip stitch it into the top here. Look at that triangle. Cool, right? Yeah, that's all there is to it. We are almost done. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do round 3. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do our corner. We're gonna do half of our corner. So we're gonna chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and that's gonna count as our first double crochet. And we're gonna do 2 more in here. Whatever method you use to make granny squares, you can try and do that with this tree. Only instead of making 4 corners, just make 3. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I want to get this little curvy part in here. I don't know if you can see it, so that it's not a straight line triangle. It has a little bit of a curve in it. Okay, so this one is straight. Okay, but I want a little curve. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. What I'm going to do is, so here we have 3 stitches, right? So let's go ahead and count 1, 2. You see that? This stitch right here, 1, 2. And right in here, what we're going to do is we are going to do a single crochet. Okay? Right in here. Okay? Now we're into our chain space. And we're going to go ahead and do 3 double crochets or our double crochet cluster in there. Okay? So a cluster is just, for this pattern, a cluster is 3. Sometimes it could be 4, okay? And sometimes I've even seen it done with 2. But for this one, we're doing 3 double crochets. And then once again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to skip 1 and 2. And right in here, 1 and 2. And then right in here, we're going to do our single crochet. Okay? 1, 2. Let's do it in the middle, okay? So we have 1, 2, 3. So let's do it right there in the middle, okay? And we're going to do a single crochet. So you can adapt on the fly, you know, if you don't think it's looking right, then go ahead and adapt it. All right, now we're back in our corner and we're going to do 3 double crochets, 1, 2. So this isn't going to take long at all. I'm pulling out some yarn. That's what I'm doing right now. This isn't going to take long at all. Here's 2 and here's 3. And then I'm in the corner, so I'm going to chain 2 in the corner. And then I'm going to do another cluster of 3. Now, while you're crocheting, if something doesn't look right, like if it says chain 3 and it looks a little tall, go ahead and do a chain 2, because if your gauge is different, it might look different, okay? And if it says chain 2 and it looks a little tight, go ahead and chain 3 when you're doing the turnings. It's not an exact science, you know? So here we go. We're going to skip 1, 2. We're going to do it right in the middle there. And we're going to do a single crochet right in that middle stitch. Okay, let me show you that again. So we have 1, 2, 3. Remember, we had 2 from before, and we're going to do it right in the middle, and we're going to do a single crochet. And then we're back into our space again, and we're going to do 3. 1, 2, and 3. And we're doing this together because I want you to see how fast this works up. Once again, we have 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. Let's look for that middle one and go ahead and do a single crochet in there. And we are back at a corner. So when we get to our corner, we're going to do 3 double crochets, 2 and 3, okay? Chain 2, and then another set of 3 double crochets. Look how fast this is working out. Okay, look at this. Now, again, I'm pulling out some yarn. Okay, so we have 2. So if you wanted to add another round here, you can. That's fine. You can make it 4 if you want it to be a little bit bigger. That's up to you. So let's look for that center and do a single right there. Look for our next space and then do 3 double crochets. 2 and 3. Okay. Now let's look for our stitch. 1, 2. Do our single in there. And then look for our last corner. And then do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and then 3. And then we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. And we are going to slip stitch it to the top here. And we are done with the tree. We just have to add the stump. Look at that. That is our tree. Okay. I think I pulled out the yarn here, so I'm going to go ahead later on and I'll repair that with some glue or something. But this is our triangle. Very simple, very cool. Okay. And like I said, you can add another round. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the stump. But before I do that, let me show you how, before we finish this off, let me show you how you can make a hanging chain, okay? Because you want to be able to hang these up. So you have the option of making a chain, a literal chain stitch here. But, you know, you can just simply make a loop. You know, just put your finger there, decide what size you want, and then just pull it through. Pull it through again. Okay, and that's really, that's all there is to it. Hang about for another minute or two, and we are going to go ahead and make that stump. Okay, so let me cut this off, and you're going to weave in your tails. Okay, now I've been showing this trick for a few of my videos, so let me show you. So this is going to be the top, I guess, because this is where I made my my hanging chain. You could add beads to this, or you could add one bead on the top, make it a star, whatever. But if you don't have you know, a needle, right, what you can do is you can turn it and you can insert your hook in any stitch that you like from back to front. You don't have to do this. You can absolutely weave it in with the needle. You can grab that piece that you cut off and weave it through. Now do it from front to back. You get the idea. And just weave it in that way. This is a trick that I do often if I don't have a needle on hand and I want to do it quick, fast. Because, you know, those needles are small and they will get lost. But like I said, you can go ahead and do it however you want. Okay, so you get the idea, right? And there you go. So I'm going to show you how to add the trunk on. Okay, all right. So for the trunk, we're going to need, let me get my scissors out the way. We're going to need some brown yarn. I have some brown yarn. Okay, and I have the link to the yarns that I use down below. So I'm going to get some brown. You could use dark brown, light brown. You could use a different color. You can make your tree in green. um there's like this beautiful like ombre green or multicolored green. You can make red trees, white trees, pink trees. I know pink trees are very popular. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it upside down. So here's my hanging chain and I'm going to work on the bottom here. So I want my trunk to be about, okay, so we have 3 stitches on the bottom. I want it to be 3 stitches. So I'm going to look for the 3 stitches on the bottom. I'm going to insert my hook. Okay, then I'm going to take my brown yarn. I'm going to let the tail just hang out there just like that. You see? And the working yarn is in the front and I'm just going to pull it through. Okay? All right. And I like to work over my tails. So I'm going to do like a chain 1 to hold it in place. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, what should we do? A half double. Let's try half double. Okay? Let's try some half double. So to do a half double, you're going to yarn over and insert it into the same space. Yarn over, pull it through, yarn over and pull it through all 3. Okay, you can absolutely do single or double, whichever one you want. Okay, I'm just doing half double because, just because. Here's a half double, and I'm going to do another half double here. Okay, and I'm doing it 3 stitches wide. You can do 4 stitches wide, 5 stitches wide, however you want. Then I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to do the same thing. In each stitch across, I'm going to do half double. Again, you choose your stitch, half double, single. I wouldn't do a treble. I think that would make it a little too floppy. Okay, let me see if it needs more. Yeah, I think I'll do one more. What do you think? No, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop here. So again, take a look at it, see how it looks, see if you like it. Maybe you like it with a longer stump, a shorter stump, whatever you want to do. Then I'm gonna finish this off. And don't forget, I do have these other videos here on how to make these trees and other Christmas ornaments, okay? So I think I have a whole playlist of some Christmas ornaments that you can make. So go ahead and try this one. Let me know in the comments how it turned out. Let me know if you decided to maybe make another round. You could do that, and which yarns you chose and stuff like that. I'm always interested to see how your artwork turned out. Okay, so I will see you in the next one. All right, don't forget, you can click right here for other Christmas ornaments, and I'll see you next time. Okay, te veo, bye.